Anyway, this will kind of be a rambler because actually I didn't explain where I went on my hike. Um, First of all, my first hike was a reconnaissance only up to Wild Horse Saddle, and it was bitter cold, hurricane force winds. You wouldn't believe it, like 60-mile-an-hour winds. And so I wisely chose to just go back. So I won't cover that one, but that's this here. Okay, now I'm going to show my route that I took when I went to the mcave. I wasn't searching, I wanted to see the mcave. Otherwise I wouldn't have took that route. Okay, so I park at the same place Kenny Veach would have. There's a little horse corral there of wire fence, you know, whatever. He would park, first of all, where his vehicle would be hidden, not here where his vehicle is in full view of all the looters down below that drive up and steal his tires. Okay, so I go up. The first clip, I say I'm headed up to the cell phone mine. I did pretty quick, right in there. Okay, so I go up, I make a few rambling in the dark videos. I go up what I call the 4-mile ramp, pass by Agave Pit 1. There's nothing there. You're not going to go find no tomahawks. You probably won't even be able to find it. Okay, so I go up. This was in the dark. I go up, and I go up, bypass the cell phone mine. One of the videos shows that I was down here at the Agave Pit blabbering, and I was pointing the camera up to the cell phone mine, which you can clearly see, by the way. You can't miss it. But it's a hell of a thing to sidetrack up there. It's a waste of energy. If you haven't seen it, no, go there. Absolutely go there. There's Agave Pit 2. That, like I say, that's where I did some of my night filming. Oh, and right in here, just down from the Agave Pit 2, that's where I did the clip. I said that's where I slept the other day. You know, but when I came back down, it was in direct sunlight. But right in here is where I said that's where I slept, and I showed the sand. And that is the way to do it, is sleep in the gravel, just like the Indians did. Okay, so I go up. First light is first starting to appear. I go up, make my way up the hill to Wild Horse Saddle. And I did filming there of that pine nut pit, the sand pit that's up there. That is nothing to do with miners. Okay, so I did a lot of filming there, and I film over towards the saddle way over where I at first thought Kenny Veach must have went up there. He possibly could have. Okay, so I worked my way down. Right in here is where I film and say people don't realize how rough it is because you can't film when you're going through the bad stuff. That's right in here that I was being tortured, my knees were giving out, and so I worked my way down. I'm approaching the cut. I worked my way down, and like a moron, I didn't turn the camera back on this ravine. The green line is likely the route that he took. Okay, so now I'm going to continue on with what I did on that hike, because someone asked. Okay, so I worked down. Here's the other top ravine, or not ravine, wash. That's a wash. Okay, I'll explain that later. So I worked down. Remember, my goal was to get to the mcave. I couldn't sit and lollygag and explore every possible place. I would have made it back. So this was later. Ignore that for now. So I come down. I do walk over to Agave Pit 3, the queen bee of all agave pits in the universe, believe me. Okay, then I come down. I go to the mcave, and then I do my filming where people saw me in my suspenders. And then I walk down to recreate Kenny's mcave walk. I go over to, that's where I find my skulls ravine. And I climb up the hill and I film up into it. Okay. Then I go back. Now the lines, I didn't want to draw the lines on top of each other. So I drew them off to the side like this because I didn't know what it would do on Google Earth if I cross over. It turns out it works fine. Okay, so I come back and then I go up to Agave Pit 3, work my way exploring along, and then I decide to climb up these berms, and I keep going. Actually, I was higher up, I think. I was up there and I filmed over. There's the agave pit over there, and that's where, right here is where I was filming. I said I have hiker's trance, which is common because it's so great out here, I don't want to go back. Okay, but I know not to do that. So I did. It was a tough decision. I worked my way down the hill through the trees and work over to Agave Pit 4, which is invisible on Google Earth. And then I worked back to Agave Pit 3, and then I worked up this ravine of interest, and right in here, that's where I was pulling the tree limbs down with my snake tongs. Then I start to get worried, okay, I've got to get back. I could run out of water. So I do go back. I come down and I go, okay, I've got to get back. I've got to stay focused. I go back. And I go back the way that I came. Okay, so that was 11 miles. But that's 11 miles hellacious hiking, up and down. So I don't believe Kenny's stuff. I'm going to go for 40 miles. That would mean 20 miles in, 20 miles back. It did not happen. Okay, so these green lines are actually where I'm going to go next. There's the cut, and this wash that goes straight up is an absolute, I would say easily 30%. I'll find them in here. Okay. And then if I feel fresh, I'll go back through the cut and then go up this wash, and another 30% that I'll find them in here. Okay. Remember, Kenny Veach was no Superman. Okay, then if he's not up there, I will return. Now this yellow line shows it's not impossible that he did this. Suppose he went here, saw nothing, and immediately went back, and went here and immediately went back for whatever reason, which I doubt. Because these would be very, very interesting. Well, let's suppose that he stopped and immediately went back still fresh and went all the way up to this one. Okay, it's not impossible he would be found there, but I'll tell you this, it's totally impossible he went beyond. And even if he did this one, he probably, if he did this one, then this one, and then this one, already here, it was fatal. He would have made it back. But I don't think it was out of water, because when the searchers came in, he could have fired his gun. He could have cried out. He could have flashed with a light, something like that. So I think it was a debilitating fall here, most likely here, possibly here, and not impossible there. But this crap about I'm going to go for 40 miles, first of all, that means 20. And adjust for Kenny's talk, that means more like 10. 10 in, 10 out, and you feel like you've gone 40 miles. But this is totally out of the question. So now I'm going to add in the various video clips. Crap, I forgot to say this. Okay, why do I lean so strongly towards these? Okay, first of all, remember he had been through his fake mcave hike 3 times. 3 times. And when you're going down there, at this point here, you're going downhill and you have a feeling, okay, you're about to leave, bypass the same crap he had already bullshitted about, and then come down this here picture canyon, and you're out in the open, everybody sees you, and the hike is over. Okay, his was a 2-day hike, supposedly. So I don't believe he would have done it. Because right here, okay, the thrill is gone. I'm going downhill, the hike is over, work my way through, and then come back. let alone if he went up on top. He would have been coming downhill, knowing full well if he went up on top, he was going to have to climb up again, back up. Okay, hikers generally don't do that. Okay, and that's why I feel that he's there or there. It was just common sense. Also, I want to show my route that I took tilted, not just a line that, a one-dimensional line. See there? So you come up here, you work all the way down, and then for him to went up here, we'll go all the way back up. I mean, but there's how it looks, three-dimensional. Okay. Here's the agave pit again. The rock appears white because it's ash-baked limestone. Now in the center, you don't see it because people have made fires and stuff there, but in the center actually is a rectangle that was dug down and lined with rocks. Okay, and then they burned the fire, tamped down the coals, put in the agave, covered it up. So that is not visible, but it's there. That's why a lot of these appear like bullseyes with a square in the middle. Okay, let's see. Okay, I want to explain where he did his pine nut stuff. There's the cell phone mine. And just like I did, he would have then worked along, and then come down that hill, work down that slope just like I did, and then down below there, up above where I'm going, that's where he did his pine nut video. Also, this thing here is, as you can see, is an old mining road. See, a person might think, how do you know that he didn't just come down the hill there, over to here, and then work up? The reason is because he was a good enough hiker to know that he would be going downhill only to then have to go back up quite a ways to get to the same level. That's how I know that he went along as I did and then went down there to avoid sacrificing hiking energy. That's how come I know he did his pine nut thing right in there. That's why I like coming up looking and theorizing, because another hiker has a feel for where he would go and why. See, it's daybreak on the Charleston Mountains over there. I don't know if this will show up very good on the camera, but it's beautiful. I hope you don't hear my stomach growling. Okay, coming up on Wild Horse Saddle. Nobody ever films it. Now there's what I perceive to be a pine nut roasting pit up here. Because they roasted them to open up the pine cones, and then also they roasted the nuts to roast them a little bit so that they would de-shell better. But this I don't perceive as being an agave pit. Okay, now let me film around There's the mountains over in like Area 51. The cut is down there. It's hard to see through this viewfinder, but that's the cut, and I will film it because nobody ever does. The empty can of orange soda is up there if you climb up a ways. Could he have left it? I don't know. I don't know. Now I'm still standing here at that pit for reference. Now the area up above the mcave where I believe he certainly went, he would have come up onto that saddle. See that nice saddle there? So that he would have seen it from right where I am, and he would have targeted it. And the mcave is down below and off over there a little bit. You see, people don't film when you're working down through stuff like this because it's not practical to film. It's very dangerous. And so people get a false perception of how easy it is, and they come up and they go, oh, much worse than I thought. Well, this is like the area where he looked up after he got down there and said, I came down through this gnarly area. Well, he wasn't kidding. And it's vast distances. Now I have to struggle along through this. I could sprain an ankle or fall or something. It's hard to work through it. You're not just walking along. But nobody films it, and so people get the wrong impression. I'm still approaching to downhill towards the cut. But I want to mention it right in here. Sean, Libera, Sean, he was already feeling sick because he did it in intense heat and he overextended himself. So he already was feeling sick and throwing up and having to take rest and stuff long before the mcave. There's where I took a nap in the gravel. I thought I heard something. Oh, Lord.